Good topic.
Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, Naaseh v'Natzliach. I want to welcome you to another session of the Lighthouse Project. Baruch Hashem, this is our 7th season, and we are going to deposit another installment to the Emunah 101 series. Now, if you've been following us over here, or at least my classes, we know that we have a lot of different series that we visit throughout the year. Since the Lighthouse is famously known for its Tuesday night, Emunah night, I thought starting the 7th season, the first class should be about Emunah. And the reason why is because there's nothing more that a person needs in today's world more than Emunah. But not just basic Emunah, but there is an ancient master key to life that has been used throughout the generations, all the way back to the patriarchs, that is the perfect thing for today's world. Perfect master key to life that one should acquire in order to be sane and successful in this uncertain world that we live in. So, there's no doubt that we are living in the time of Ikveta de Mashiach. Right? These are the footsteps of the Messianic era. And the Messianic era is upon us. Even to the blind, spiritually blind that is, you can see and feel that something is off with the world. And more we see that people are lacking the life tools to cope with these tough times. Most people are shutting down, making fear-based decisions, and have adopted new habits, new ideas, new outlooks, and how to cope with uncertainty, with looming danger, with the unknown. It's so funny because there's a perek in Tehillim, in I think on the 53rd chapter of Tehillim, it says over there, Pachad lo pachad, fear no fear. And so many rabbis bring this pasuk to say that everybody has a fear, pachad. But lo pachad, there's nothing to fear. And when there's pachad, when there's fear, but there's lo pachad, but there's nothing to fear, people get into a sort of a trap. Welcome. So we see that this looming danger of the unknown, not knowing how to cope with uncertainty, living in a state of constant confusion and division, can have a toll on people. Mask, no mask. Vax, no vax. Take the shot, don't take the shot. Democrat, Republican. Politically correct, not politically correct. Cancel culture, old school values. Believe what's out there in the world or not to believe. You don't know. You're constantly being pulled in two directions. You're constantly being pulled in two different directions. You don't know what to do with yourself. And this is not only here, this is also this corrupt politicians, this biased media outlets, foreign influences in America and Israel and the world. We see that there's something going on. This is not exclusive to the United States. It's not exclusive to Israel. The entire world, in a weird way, is all going through this metamorphosis. And not everybody's equipped to deal with it. And you're just seeing, you just go to the supermarket, you can literally see who's got the tools and who doesn't. Who knows how to deal with change and who doesn't. And then you just have those people, there's a deer in headlights. They don't know what to do. They're just in the middle. They don't know whether to have an opinion or not to have an opinion. To admit that they want the vaccine shot or to admit that they don't want the vaccine shot. Am I going to be part of the sheeple? Or am I going to be an individual? Everybody's torn. They don't know what to be. And this whole situation has got us confused. And the worst thing, divided. Black versus white. Vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Religious versus secular. Freedom versus tyranny. It's the oldest trick in the book. Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer, repackaged for 2021. So how do we cope? How do we live? How do we survive this avalanche of division and confusion? Who to believe, who to trust, what to do? I mean, just get past the niceties in any conversation. Oh, how you doing? Everything's okay. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just dig a little bit more and you'll see just everybody's lost. And everybody has an opinion. And if you don't share the same opinion, you're the enemy. You are the problem. However, ironically, as an Orthodox Jew, whatever is happening right now, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's easy to know what to do. When you're religious, when you follow the Torah, when you're living a Torah life, when the world gives you corona, fake news, corrupt politicians, fear and confusions, you know what an Orthodox Jew does? We turn to the Torah. We go to the book for answers. And it's incredibly amazing on the path that we go on. We just go back and say, hey, what did Abba do? What did Saba do? What did my father do? What did my grandfather do? What did my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather do? We look to the elders for knowledge, for guidance. Not like today. The younger you are, and it doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth, people paying attention to. We got a 15-year-old preaching to the world about climate control. Seriously?
Or now you have an 18-year-old kid who's actually being very wise now. Who's actually spewing the truth.
Who's this?
Rittenhouse, the kid.
Oh, yes.
So out of the mouth of babes are coming many things too.
True.
You know.
As far as orthodoxy, as far as the Orthodox religion, where do we go? We always go to the Zekenim. Why Zekenim? What's the deal with the elderly? Because Zeken stands for Ze Kana Nun. Zayin Kuf Nun is Ze Kana Nun. He acquired Nun. Nun is the 50th gate of knowledge, of Chokhmah, of Binah. So anyone who's gone to that age of, the elderly age, and he's a Zaken, we give him respect, we give him honor, and we go to him for advice and for guidance. Our patriarchs, I mean, what do we do when we're faced with challenges, basically? We go to look at our patriarchs. There are our original life coaches. We always look to see what Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov have to say about the world today. But then you'll tell me, but that's thousands of years ago. Surely they don't know what to do with the vaccine. Surely Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov don't know if we should mask up or not. Really? Let's see. And maybe right here, I'd like to emphasize the importance of living with Parashat Shavua, the weekly Torah portion, the part that we read every Shabbat and study the whole week. It's by design. Whatever's going on in that parasha is exactly the spiritual energy of what's happening in the world that day, and specifically in your life. Start the process of learning the weekly Torah portion, and little by little you will see that everything that you're looking for in your life is there and has your answers. And some of the answers are not so much to your questions, but sometimes they're also teachings and learnings of what you'll need for the following week or for the following month or for the year. Every parasha has tons of spiritual advice and worldly instructions that are embedded into it on a weekly basis and by design. Trust me when I tell you, there's no better spiritual GPS than learning the Torah on a weekly basis. And only somebody who learns the parasha, only somebody who lives the parasha can get this special Torah advice, can actually get these nuggets of information from Abraham, from Yitzhak, from Yaakov, and apply them to today's world and to your personal life. And those tips are what's going to help us to be successful in our journey on this planet. Tonight, I wanted to highlight, to show you that if you just look a little bit deeper into the stories, a little bit deeper into what's going on with Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, you'll be able to see that they went through way more than us, dealt with it the right way, and their secret to success was always the same formula. The book that we're in right now is the book of Bereshit. The book of Bereshit is famously known to have a running theme through it, which is Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim, which loosely translated is the actions of our forefathers serve as a guide, as a map, as an instruction manual to the children. Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. Almost like a spiritual GPS, if you will, to making the right Torah decisions in any situation that you might have or that might find yourself in on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, we know, besides all of life's hardships, all of us have our arch rival, the biggest adversary that we have, the devil himself, the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. He's an angel, he's doing his job. His angelic name is Samech Mem and Aleph and Lamed. We try not to say it, but in short we call him the Samech Mem. If you take his letters of his name, Samech Mem and Aleph and Lamed, it's actually Rashi Tevot, Siman Avot, Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim, which basically lets us know, you know how you defeat him? Follow the ways of your forefathers. You want to know how to defeat the Yetzer Hara? Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. But if I had to take one line, a bumper sticker slogan that can help me cope, maintain, survive, or even dare I say, be happy in these trying times, it would be En Od Milvado. There is no one but Him. When we say Him, that means God. There is nothing in this world that is not Hashem. Nothing. It's all Hashem. Everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Everything is a Kadosh Baruch Hu. En Od Milvado. And once you know that, nothing else really matters. And nothing phases you. And even though that I could stop right here, and yeah, you got it. Here I said, En Od Milvado. And even if somebody has heard this concept 100 times before, En Bet Midrash Bli Chidush, there's no such thing as a Torah class without a new nuance or new revelation that we can come up with. This concept of En Od Milvado, we're going to look at it through the lens of the patriarchs. How did Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and their children live out the concept of En Od Milvado? That their entire key to success was that they always saw God, only God, nothing else but God. How is that possible? So to open up this concept, we need to learn from the masters. Today it's very popular. I took a master's class. I don't go to the original masters, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and let's see what they have to teach us. Let's start with Avraham. Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. The original, not the digital. Avraham Avinu. The OG. The OG. He is the one, the father of monotheism, right? He's the one that started it all. What kind of a life did he have? Was it tougher than ours? Easier than ours? And how was he successful at it? Because I want to learn from my great-great-great-grandfather how he was successful so I can be successful. Because I'm not sure if a max or a vaccine is such of a heavy thing, such as maybe something that they went through. So let's see, let's compare our lives to the lives of the patriarchs. The Ramban lists the 10 trials that Avraham Avinu had. Avraham Avinu had 10 tests, 10 trials from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And each test, Hashem was testing him to see if he's still going to have this ironclad faith and ironclad trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that no matter where he is in the world, whether he's successful, in danger, not in danger, happy, sad, whatever the situation might be, is the relationship with Hashem still solid no matter what? So look at the 10 trials that Abraham went through. Trial number 1, according to the Ramban, Hashem tells him to leave his homeland and to be a stranger in the land of Canaan. So let's think about it. What if you just had to pluck yourself today and go move to live in China, or in the Middle East, or in Australia, or anywhere else in the world? It's not an easy thing. You're used to everything around you. You're used to surroundings, your family, your friends. It's not so easy to just uproot yourself and move somewhere else. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Abraham, Lech Lecha, he didn't even give him a direction. Avraham Avinu opened up the door, started walking, and he says, Hashem, lead the way. With no address, he just walked. Would you do that? Would you do that? Do you have the guts to do something like that? Second test. Hashem promises him the promised land. He promises him to be rich. Right after that promise, what does he experience? Famine. You scratch your head. Hashem, what happened to the riches? What happened to my land? I'm right now scraping for scraps. There's famine in the land. Didn't ask a question. Think about not having food. They say one of the hardest things that a human being goes through, the hardest test that a human being goes through and breaks them down in every single way is hunger. And as Jews, we love our food. Imagine, Haz v'shalom, that we should experience hunger never in our lives. Avraham Avinu, right out the gate, he has to deal with famine after God's promise to him. Avraham Avinu's wife gets taken twice. Imagine having a beautiful, righteous wife that gets taken by an Egyptian king, Paro. Later on, it's by Avimelech, which is another time she got kidnapped. Twice in a lifetime. Imagine having your wife being taken by real powerful men that run countries, men that have kingdoms. It's not a simple thing. Imagine some sort of a tyrant or a dictator decides that your wife is the one for him and he grabs her. It's not an easy thing to get out of. You need a big Siyata D'Shmaya for something like that. The next thing is Avraham Avinu finds his nephew in trouble and he has to go to war with 4 kings and 5 kings. Could you imagine going to war? The Midrash says that he went with 318 men. Some say he only went with him and Eliezer, which is Gematria 318. And some even say it was just him and Og. What kind of guts do you have to walk in front of an army of 5 different kingdoms and say, bring it? I mean, the type of courage you have to have, or faith in Hashem, to face thousands and thousands and thousands of armed men and fight them. How about his home issues? Well, he was childless for many, many years. He even got to a sticky situation where his own wife tells him, we might have to bring another woman into our relationship. Could you imagine? She brought an Egyptian princess who was her maid, Hagar. She was serving her. Now she's another wife in the house. Could you imagine? The maid becomes your husband's wife. They have a child with him. Hagar has a child with Avraham Avinu called Ishmael. Not only that, Avraham Avinu has serious surgery at the age of 86. 86. He has serious surgery. He gets circumcised at the age of 86. After having a child with Hagar, his firstborn, his boy, that I'm sure he loved, is instructed by his first wife to kick out Hagar and to kick out Ishmael. Whatever the reasoning that Sarah had And she was absolutely right, and we know the backstory to it. But for Abraham, it's the woman that he married, and it's his first boy, and he has to kick both of them out. Emotionally, that's a very tough test. Not only that, Ishmael, the son that made him Abba, is no longer around. He's estranged from his own son. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, Abraham Avinu has a child with Sarah. Finally! His pride and joy. At the age of 37, Hashem says, put him on an altar for me. Shech your son for me. And Abraham Avinu doesn't even blink. He wakes up early to do God's will. Not such an easy life. Abraham Avinu did not have such an easy life. As a matter of fact, there are a different list that is brought down by Rabbi Ovadia of Bartenura, who also included, besides these 10 trials, the fact that it was thrown into a fiery furnace. And that after the Akedah, his own wife died. That after the Akedah, he had to go home to a dead body. Not an easy life. How do you deal with such a life? How do you deal with so many weird, different situations that you're put in? You're at war, you're having surgery, you have another wife, an ex-wife, a son that has to go away. All these different... your wife gets kidnapped twice by powerful people. How do you deal with all that? How do you deal with life after famine, after kidnapping, after physical displacement, constantly moving around, after war, after the physical challenge of having surgery, after divorce, after having an estranged firstborn, and these extreme spiritual demands from God? What is Hashem asking us to do? Not to put our firstborn on the altar. How did Abraham do it? So, the first lesson of En Od Milvado is seen in the Pesukim that says, Vayavo HaPalit V'yaged LaAvram HaIvri. Just stop right here because the rest of the Pasuk doesn't pertain to us. The Pasuk says that Avram, before he had the Hay, Avram, was also called HaIvri. So, what does that mean, Avram HaIvri? So it says that Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Nachamia, they're bringing this from the Midrash. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Kol ha'olam kulo me'ever echad, vehu me'ever acher. You know he's called Ha'ivri. Ever means in Hebrew other side. Ever hakvish, the other side of the road, right? So Avraham Avinu, you know what kind of a character he had? How he was able to get through that entire life? Because the type of individual that he was is that everybody was on one side, everybody did the same thing, everybody followed what everybody's doing, everybody was sheeple. And Avraham Avinu was Ivri. He was a unique individual that followed the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and nothing could sway him. Not even a father who had Avodah Zarah factory. He grew up with idols all around him. His father sold them. Meaning his father has a huge influence on the child. And even though, with all that, he's still Avraham HaIvri. The whole world is on one side, and Avraham is on the other side by himself. Furthermore, it says in Psika Derabati, in Psika Lamed Gimel, it says over there, Mahu Ivri. What does this mean, Ivri? So I shall say that also they said that it came from Ever, like we have Shem and Ever, that it came from the lineage of Ever. But it continues to say over here, Shekol ha'olam kulo over le'echad, v'hu haya le'ever acher, v'haya ohev lakadosh baruch hu v'ovdo. Says that not only was he on one side and everybody else was on the other, but הוא היה אוהב לקדוש ברוך הוא. He used to love God. He loved God. ועובדו. And he used to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And because that the Kadosh Baruch Hu called him Ivri Vezera Avraham Ohavi, meaning that he was a unique individual, and his progeny that comes from Avraham, the Avraham that loves me. So his entire life journey, you know how he got through all those challenges? He just saw God. This is what Hashem wants from me. This is what Hashem has put in front of me. He never complained about it. He never spoke about it. He never saw him really do any question. There's only one question over there that he asked: how will I know that my children will inherit the land? And because of that, we got punished for 400 years of slavery in Egypt. But it was a question. It was never a complaint. He just wanted to verify what would be the sign that I will know. And even for that, he got punished. However, his entire life journey, he saw only one thing. He only saw Hashem. Doesn't matter what his cousin did. Doesn't matter what his nephew did. Doesn't matter what his friends did. Doesn't matter what they do in Egypt. Doesn't matter what they do in all the different places that he was in. He did what God wanted him to do with love. And he worshipped Hashem when nobody else did. And od milvado. As a matter of fact, we just see a tiny example of this. We see a perfect example that after the battle of the kings in Bereshit, it says over there that the king of Sodom comes over to Avraham and he tells him, okay, you won the war. Let's split up the booty. Let's split up the treasure. Let's split up the land, the people. You know what Avraham tells him? By the way, it's so funny. He beats him. He rescued him. He beat his enemies. And he's telling him, oh, you know, Avraham can tell him it's all mine, right? What do you mean, let's split it? Avraham could have said, this is all mine, I won the war. Rather, what does he say over there? Vayomer Avraham el melech Sodom. Avraham said to the king of Sodom, Harimoti yadi el Hashem el elyon koneh shamayim va'aretz. I am only dealing with God, the ruler of the universe, who lives in the heavens and the earth. I'm not going to take a shoelace from you, a string from you, so you could say that you made me rich. You can keep it all. My wealth, my strength, everything comes to me from God. That no one should say that they gave me or uplifted me or changed my financial status through the war. Just to show you that even when he was rightfully his, he didn't want that. I came to save my nephew. Come Lot, I saved you. You can keep the rest. I don't want nobody to say that they made me rich. In other words, he only saw Hashem. He only saw Hashem. Nobody can do anything for him, not to harm him or not to benefit him. It's always Hashem. Let's move on to Yitzchak, who, by the way, has the least amount of text out of all the patriarchs. If there was ever a movie about, Sefer Bereshit, the smallest role would be Yitzchak. He would literally be probably 2 scenes and it's over. Yitzchak Avinu, even though he didn't talk much, in today's world, what do we say? Less talk, more action. That was Yitzchak. He didn't need to talk. The strong silent type is exactly that. If we look at the famous Akedah, I like that. If we look at the famous Akedah, we get to the point where Yitzchak is scratching his head and he tells him, Vayom Yitzchak el Avraham Aviv. He's asking his father, Vayomer Avi. He says, Dad. Vayomer Hineni Beni. He says, I'm here, son. Vayomer Hineh ha'esh v'aitzim. Here's the fire. Here's the wood. Vayaseh la'olah. Where's the lamb or the sheep for sacrifice? I mean, we have all the equipment. We're missing the animal for the sacrifice. And Avraham reveals to him, Vayomer Avraham, Elohim yir'elo haseh le'olah beni. Let me read it different. Vayomer Avraham tells him, Elohim yir'elo, God is going to show you, Haseh le'olah, the lamb for sacrifice, Beni. He's letting him know the lamb for sacrifice, it's not a lamb. You, my son, you are going to be sacrificed. Imagine, your father tells you that you're on the way to be a korban on an altar. You're going to get sacrificed. That your own father is going to shecht you on an altar. Would you stop and say, Dad, it's all good, it's your trial, it's not mine, it's your nisayon, I'm not having it, still want to get married, still want to have children, still want to go to, whatever it is that he still wants to do to live in life. You think he's even stopped? What was Yitzhak's reaction to this revelation that he's going to be Sele Olam? He looked at his father looked at him, and they started walking towards the altar. Could you imagine? This is what we call this is what we call Mesirut Nefesh. What is Mesirut Nefesh? Self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice means exactly that. You're willing to sacrifice yourself. It's not talking anymore. It's when you're able to get to the point that you're saying, I'm willing to die for Hashem. And we'll stop right here. Not that I'm willing to die for Allah like the Arabs do, right? Because that comes from their own mind. Here we had a direct communication with God. Hashem spoke to Abraham and gave him specific instructions. It's not that we take upon ourselves to die for God. Hashem told us to die for God when it comes to three things. What is it? The three cardinal sins. What are they? Shfichut damim, arayot, and avodah zarah. Those are the three things that it's better that you die than do. However, this mesirut nefesh, that a person can get to the point that he's willing to give up his own life for the sake of God, with no hesitation even, this is a mega level, right? We can't think about it. We can't get to this level. You have to be in Yitzchak Avinu to get to this level. But nonetheless, there's something to be learned here. This mesirut nefesh, this en od milvado, that they say, it doesn't matter what the world wants. Is this what Hashem wants for me now? I will do it. And that's what he did. And this, the Gemara tells us that when the chips are down, when Israel, Am Yisrael is in jeopardy, when we are in peril, you know what we do? It says, who can we rely on? Who can we rely on when we're in trouble? When we're like in the worst state that we can be as the Jewish nation? Yitzchak Avinu. We can always go up to the Shamayim and say, hey, what about Akedat Yitzchak? Do you remember my great-grandfather? He was willing to die for you, Hashem. Do you remember him? As a matter of fact, every single day, what do we say? In the Yid Ratzon that we say every single day. As a matter of fact, the opening scene of Tefillah, the opening Tefillah, every single day, what is the first thing that we mention in Shachrit? We start with reading of the Akedah. Why? Why? Because that's the first thing we want to remind the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Rosh Hashanah, what's the first Tefillah that we do in Rosh Hashanah? What do we sing about? We sing about Akedat Yitzchak. As a matter of fact, in our Tefillah here in the mornings, we say Yehei Ratzon. We ask Hashem that Shetzmalei Rachamim, have mercy on us. And Tiskor Lanu Akedato Shel Yitzchak. Remember, every morning we remind God, remember the Akedah, remember the self-sacrifice that my grandfather had. And not only that, Ke'ilu efrot savum nachal gabei mizbech, as if he was sacrificed, as if he was burned, and his ashes are on top of the mizbeach. And when you look at the ashes, rachem aleinu, have mercy on us. Ubatel ma'aleinu kol gzerot kashot ve'od, and nullify all the harsh decrees that are upon us. U'tzaken achzeh b'teshuvah shema, give us the schut, the merit to do teshuvah. V'tatzilenu mi'etz hara, and save us from the evil inclination and from all sins. Now it's funny, because if you look at it, you know what this is? Imagine, we're saying this every day. I always say it's like that no limit credit card. It's like every day you can pass it through, and there's still money there. You still pass it through. Hashem, it's Hak's credit. Okay, he still has credit. It's Hak's credit. Oh, he still has credit. It's like never ending. Keep swiping. Black American Express.
I like that.
That's what it is. That's what Akedat Yitzchak is. Why? What was his secret in life? How is it that today, thousands of years later, his children can still get saved in his merit? Mesirut nefesh. Enod nivado. Whatever Hashem wants is what he did. Even though it was an extreme case that Hashem asked him to get sacrificed and he agreed to it. But if he would have asked him anything else, he would have done it as well. Maaseh Avot, Siman Banim. Maaseh Avot, so it can be a Siman Tov Labanim. We see over this is something that it's a good Siman. This is something that we constantly mentioning it. We go to Yaakov Avinu, who also went through tremendous trials. He had an evil twin brother who wanted to kill him, a crook for a father-in-law who cheated him 100 times in business. He tricked him into chuppah, and the wedding day he switched his bride. Yaakov Avinu's youngest daughter got raped. His youngest son Yosef disappeared for 22 years, and he was told that he was attacked by a wild animal. And if you just stop right here, think about it. Who can survive such things? You're being chased by your evil brother for years. He wants to kill you. Those are serious family issues. And just when you're running somewhere for a safe haven, you find out that your father-in-law not only doesn't like you, wants to kill you and take advantage of you. Oh, imagine that. And it's not a week, a month, or 2 months. This is 22 years. No, sorry, 20 years. And imagine. Don't imagine. Don't imagine it. For somebody's youngest daughter to be taken and to be raped, to have his 17-year-old son that he was sitting with for 14 years, his pride and joy, just one day disappear. 22 years he can't, looking, where's my son? Where's my son? You wake up, you go to sleep, you wake up, you go to sleep, you wake up, you go to sleep. Where's Yosef? Where's Yosef? You know what kind of a toll it takes on a person emotionally? How did Yaakov get through his life? How can you survive such dramatic life events and challenges? We can zoom into every single one of those dramatic events and traumatic events, and we'll find the answer there. But let's zoom into just one from last week's parasha, where we dealt with the famous battle between Yaakov and the Samech Mem, that Yaakov Avinu actually was wrestling the devil. And I like to do this one a little bit in depth, because this is the one that I was telling you guys about, that Rabbi Avram Levi inspired this class and this vort from his zooming in on these two pesukim. If we go to the 32nd chapter, Perek Lamed Bet, to the 31st verse, Pasuk Lamed Aleph, something very interesting is over there. I'm going to read those two pesukim. It says, Vayikra Yaakov, after winning the battle, without going too much into details of that story, but Yaakov wins the battle. Yaakov wins the battle with the Samech Mem. And after he wins the battle with the devil, he tells him, it says, Vayikra Yaakov Shema Makom Peniel. He called that exact same place Peniel. And there's a reasoning why he called it Peniel. Ki ra'iti Elohim panim el panim v'tinatze nafshi. He says, because I saw the face of God, or Elohim can also mean angel. I saw the face of an angel. Panim el panim, face to face, v'tinatze nafshi. And I'm alive, I survived. So I call this place Peniel. The next pasuk right after, it says, Vayizrach lo hashemesh asher avar et Penuel. It says, and the sun came, and we know that the sun has healing powers, so that's the reason why the sun shone for him. I say, shone for him? Shined for him. The sun shined for him because the sun has healing powers. But it says that the sun shined for him and started to heal him. Kasher avar et Penuel. Penuel? What's Penuel? He just called it Peniel. Why did the previous pasuk call the place Peniel and the following pasuk called Penuel? It makes no sense that there should be a name change of the place right after it was named Peniel. So this is very interesting. Or Chaim HaKadosh brings in his commentary. Kasher avar et Penuel. He says Ulai. He says maybe the reason why they changed Peniel to Penuel, כי לא יקרא שם המקום פניאל אלא יעקב. Because the only person who has the permission to call the place Peniel is only Yaakov.
He's the only one that saw.
Why? Exactly. אלא יעקב לבד. אבל כל חוץ ממנו, anybody else besides him, Penuel. And he says not only that, ואפילו דבר תורה כן יקרא בשופטים. There's another place in Shoftim that you see that they called it Penuel. In other words, it's exactly what Henshi just said. Yaakov is the only one that saw the angel's face. So he's going to say Peniel. Anybody else, call it Penuel. You didn't go through that experience. You can't call it, it's my Peniel. No, Penuel. Now, here, there's a huge lesson. If you go back to the text, what does it say over there? Vayikar Yaakov Shem HaMakom Peniel. The reason why I call it Peniel, Ki ra'iti Elokim. Let's go back to the original translation. Because I saw God. What does it mean I saw God? He says, when I'm walking alone in the desert, on the way to pick up these pachim ktanim that I left behind, and all of a sudden this angel jumps on top of me in the middle of the night and wrestles with me, I didn't ask why. I didn't ask who. I didn't ask what. You know what he says? Elokim. Ki ra'iti Elokim. I saw God in this moment. God did this. God sent him. This is something from Hashem. I don't have to ask why. I know it's from God. There's a reason for it all. No matter what was happening to Yaakov, he knew that it was Ki ra'iti. When I look, I see Elokim. Everywhere I look. Dinah, that's God. Yosef, that's God. Esav, that's God. Lavan, that's God. They didn't ask questions. They didn't complain. They understood that every event that happened to them in their life is God. It's God sent. In other words, when he was also challenged by the Samech Men, which, by the way, that's the angel that we're challenged with every single day. The Samech Men. What do? We always make it like a third-person experience. It's so hard for me. The Yitzhak makes it difficult for me to wake up for prayer, to keep Shabbat, to keep Kashrut, to keep Tzniut. Oh, it's so hard, it's so hard, it's so hard. You know, if it wasn't for the Samech Men, Yaakov didn't do that. Yaakov said, you know why the Samech Men is here? It's God is here. God is challenging me. Samech Mem is just the agent. The tool. And this is an interesting look at our arch nemesis, right? This is an interesting look at the Yetzer Hara. That even though that he's the one that tries to stop us from our spiritual success, it's not exactly it. He's more like our life coach. He's our daily life coach. He's like our daily trainer, whose purpose is to challenge us. And when we withstand the challenge, we get spiritually upgraded. You don't give up. You don't recognize the fight and say, oh, you know what? It's too hard for me. I can't. It's like going to the gym. The trainer is giving you, 20 pound dumbbells. And as soon as you see them, no, I can't. They're going to be heavy. He says, challenge yourself. Pick them up. Lift them up once. Lift them up twice. After 10 times, like, wow, I did it. Right? Why? Because your trainer challenged you. You were able to prove to yourself that you can do it. And then you went to the next level. Next week, it's 25 pounders. Right? And in 3 months from now, it's 35 pounders. Why? You challenge yourself. Your trainer is there to push you forward, and you move up. And before and after a year and a half, you're pushing 250 on the bench press. How did you get there? Oh, I have an amazing trainer. You have an amazing trainer to life.
Spiritual, actually.
You have a spiritual life coach. Hashem gave it to you. He wakes up with you and he goes to sleep with you and he challenges you. Yeah, he's a tough coach. He knows how to push your buttons. He knows how to make you fail. But if you do your part, and if you're able to overcome him, you move up to the next spiritual level. You know what? He's there too. And you move up to the next one and he's going to be there too. And that's life. That's life. You get challenged in every level, but you get better at who you are. Your spirituality grows. You can't deny the challenge. You can't ignore the challenge. There's no growth when you ignore the Son of Man. You have to take him to your advantage, not blame him. So there's two types of people. There's people that point the finger at everybody else for why they're not successful, or they understand that the challenge is the key to my success. Now, even though there was a great lesson from Yaakov Avinu, and we're done with the patriarchs, but I have to stick Yosef in there. And the reason why is because at the age of 17, his brothers threw him into a pit, sold him to the Arabs. He got sold as a slave. He became a house butler to an Egyptian minister. He got thrown into a pit for 12 years. He was imprisoned for 12 years. And all because his brothers thought that maybe he's the next patriarch. Why? Favoritism. His father gave him the special coat. So they said, well, there's a pattern here, right? Abraham, he got rid of Ishmael and left Yitzchak. Yitzchak got rid of Esau and then Yaakov. Yaakov, maybe he's taking Yosef and getting rid of us. He gave him the special jacket. Let's get rid of him. They thought that it was the continuation of the Avot. And even though it was on such a high level that it could have continued. But the truth is, the minute that Reuven was born, that's when the patriarchs finished. Why? Because we have Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Those are the Avot. When Reuven came, why was his name Reuven? Reu-ben. Look, it's a ben. It's not an Av. It's a son. It's not a father. From here we know that the tribe started.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Now, Yosef's challenges, imagine after 13 years of everything that he went through, he gets taken out of jail after interpreting the dream for Paro. Paro sees his genius of a boy, genius of a man, lets him be the viceroy of Egypt for the next 40 years, and actually rules the entire world for another 40 years, the longest reign of a king in history, 80 years total. And what was Yosef's success? Think about it. Let's think about his struggles again. How could it be? Your own family sells you? You go from being the son of Yaakov, royalty, to picking up as a butler to some Egyptian family? You go into a jail cell? I mean, this is a jail cell in the times of thousands of years ago. This is not today with air conditioning and food. We're talking about he's in a grimy jail for 12 years. What's his secret to success? That he got blessed to be the Mashbir, to be Yosef Tzaddik. Say that Yosef's secret, Shem Hashem Shagur Befiv. He always had God's name on his lips. And עוד מלבדו. השתבח שמו לעד. ברוך Hashem. Chazdei Hashem kol hayom. Even when Paro was asking him, interpret my dream. How does Yosef answer? Vayomer Paro el Yosef. Paro is speaking to Yosef. Chalom chalavti ufoter en oto. I dreamt a dream and nobody knows how to interpret it. V'ani shamati alecha lemot tishma chalom niftor oto. And I know that you can interpret dreams. How does Yosef answer such an amazing claim? The only one that can decipher, the only one that can explain the dream of Paro, interpret the dream of Paro, Vayan Yosef el Paro lemor. What are the first things that come out of the mouth of Yosef? Biladai Elohim Yaneh. Who am I? I can't do anything. God is the one that's going to be able to help me interpret your dream. Et Shalom Paro. Shem Hashem Shagu Befiv. En Od Milvado. They never saw anything else. Doesn't matter what's going on. He just came out of jail. Minutes ago, he was in dirty clothes, long hair, long beard. They took him out. You can't come in front of the king looking all grimy. They shaved his head. They shaved his beard. They gave him new clothes. Just minutes ago, he was a prisoner. You could say, yeah, I'm the best dream interpreter in the world. Or you could say, I'll charge you a million Egyptian coins to interpret your dream. No, what does he say? I'm nothing. It's God. And from that one sentence, his whole life got switched over. Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. Now, that is Bereshit. In a few weeks from now, we're going to shift over to Shemot, the next book. And the next book is all about the Banim. It's all about the children. So if all the instruction was here in Bereshit, Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim, what are the children going to do? Did they take the instructions of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Did they learn the life tools? Did they acquire the life tools that they need to be successful? Did they listen to the stories of their Saba? Did they listen to the story of their Abba? Were they able to extract all these life lessons and learn from them? Did they talk to the Zkenim so they can make the right decisions in their life? Well, the 12 tribes, once they got to Egypt as a small family of just Shirim Nefashot, deteriorated to the lowest level of Kedusha and went to the 49th level of Tum'ah. There are only 50 gates of Tum'ah. They reached gate number 49. They were almost at the point of no return. And to bring them back, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu did make a promise to Abraham, and he did make a promise to Yitzchak, and he did make a promise to Yaakov, that their children will have the land of Israel, the land of honey, the land of milk and honey, and that they're going to be successful and rich in the kingdom and Bet HaMikdash, and all those things. But right now, they're slaves in Egypt on the 49th level of Tum'ah. How do we get there? We're here. We're so below the mark of what we're really supposed to be. We're so far from being Am Yisrael Be'eretz Yisrael. So far from it. We are slaves in Egypt on the 49th level of Tum'ah. What do? How do we bring them back? They've assimilated. They've been affected by their surroundings. The Tum'ah of Egypt had a grip on Am Yisrael. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings 10 plagues, each one with its unique purpose. We're not going to go through all the plagues. I just want to highlight something. That after each plague, there was sort of an aha moment for everybody. They sort of like had a realization of, something is happening here, a shift, right? We're so far off the day. We're so not connected to the religion. We're so not connected to God. We're so much like the Egyptians. We're so far gone, we're completely at the point of no return. We need something dramatic to bring us back. We need something that is just going to shake up not just us, but the world. The whole world will hear about these 10 plagues. The whole world is going to hear about the hand of God in Egypt. And then everybody's mindset will begin to shift. For example, in Makat Dam, when he turned the Nile into blood, Hashem says, Bezot, when you see me do that, Teda ki ani Hashem, you'll know that I am God. In other words, what? Allow me to reintroduce myself. You know who can turn a river into blood? Only God. Ki ani Hashem. Hello. Next one. When it came to the frogs, what was the reaction? What was the outcome? Leman teda ki en kasher. You know I brought this huge frog that turned into billions of other frogs in Egypt, that they were everywhere, that they were inside the ovens, inside the beds, inside the food, inside their bellies. Why there was frogs everywhere? So you should know, Ki en kashem, there's nothing like God. Nothing can compare to God. Not the idols, not the avodah zarah, not the magic, not the sorcery, not the voodoo, whatever that they did, all the black magic that they did over there, all the wizardry, nothing is like God. Leman teda, you should know, Ki en kashem, there's nothing like God. Later on, when he brought the arov, this was the wild beast. It says over there, what was the purpose of that? What was the outcome of that? What was the new understanding, the shift in everybody's mindset? Leman teda, ki ani Hashem b'kerev haaretz. You're feeling me now in the land. I have control of the animals. Can you feel me? I'm here. I'm next to you. Things are happening on your level, right? Not in the heavens, not in the oceans, here where you live. Leman teda, ki ani Hashem b'kerev haaretz, in the land. And then when he brought the barad, the mixture of ice and fire, what was the next mental shift? Ba'avu teda ki en kamoni b'kol haaretz. Do you know now that there's no one like me in the land? Have I proven myself to you? And that's what, again, another mind shift, another shift in the thinking. Hashem is showing everybody, you're so far gone. I got to do these crazy 10 plagues so your mindset can shift and you can recognize that there's a creator to this world and you are the children of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and you did not use their life tools, you did not use Maaseh Avot Siman and Banim, so I have to re-educate you on who runs the world. Land, air, and sea. In Makat Arbeh, it says over there with the grasshoppers, Vidatem, and now you know. It's a fact. It's 100%. You all know. Ki ani Hashem. I am God. Now, after all the makot, there's one all-inclusive statement that Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Ba'avur harotecha al kochi, you now saw my power, V'leman saper shemi b'chol haaretz. Now go tell everybody who God is. V'leman tasaper b'oznei b'ncha. And now go tell your children about God. B'ncha u'bitcha et asher talati b'mitzrayim. Go show them all the things that go tell your children all the makot that I did and all the italalti is to torture, all the torturing that I did in Egypt. In other words, it took 10 plagues to take the Jewish people that were in the 49th level of Tumah, including the Egyptians and the entire planet, to be brought back to the patriarch's default setting. What Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov knew on automatic, Hashem had to do 10 makot to bring him there. All this was an introduction to this point.
So we have 9 more, is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I just wanted to take you on a journey of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov as the patriarchs, and to see that all the lessons that they gave us were not followed by their children. Hashem had to step in and teach them the hard way the lessons that their fathers already knew, told them, and they didn't apply. But anytime we learn a lesson like this, we always want to say, what does it mean to me today? All right, I'm sitting over here, 2021. It's almost the end of the year. We're after COVID. We got all this confusion. We got all this, all this chaos, mental chaos, physical chaos, spiritual chaos, all around the world. What does this lesson mean to me? Well, the reason why we need to learn this lesson today is because today we have many Jews that have lost their ways. Just like the Jews in Egypt. They lost their Jewish compass. They forgot the ways of the Avot. We have a lot of Jews that don't have the tools on how to navigate themselves through this turmoil of the past 2 years. And even though they were in a spiritual darkness before, they're in this bigger spiritual darkness now. And even the ones that were religious are also in a spiritual darkness, because there's religious people that didn't have the tools on how to deal with the past 2 years. So how do we get through today's hardships? How do we get through today's confusion and today's challenges? There's only one way. You cling to Hashem. And od milvado, it worked for Abraham, it worked for Yitzhak, it worked for Yaakov. No matter what it was, we went through a lot of different challenges. Each Av had some crazy challenges. What do we have? Mask, no mask. Jab, no jab. That's what we're struggling with. That's how we're falling apart like a house of cards. Because politicians are on the news going crazy because of Biden is from God. COVID is from God. Mask is from God. What's happening in New York is from God. What's happening in Florida is from God. What's happening in Israel is from God. What's happening in the Middle East is from God. Everything is from God. And od milvado. Nothing is happening without Hashem saying, this is what needs to happen. The point here, though, is we, as human beings with human psyche, we want to say, but explain to me why. Why does it have to be? Why does God want this political climate? Why does God want riots? Why does God want COVID? Why does God want people to be so confused? People have been confused. And Hashem always gives the people a chance to do teshuvah. But when it gets to the point where people don't do teshuvah on their own, Hashem creates scenarios, creates situations, events to tap people on the shoulder, to wake up and say, Hashem, help me. I don't know how to deal with the vaccine. Hashem, help me. I don't know how to deal with the financial collapse. Hashem, help me. I don't know how to deal with this divide in America, with this divide in Israel, with this, I can't deal. So there's all these things because every single event picks up a different type of Jew, a different type of individual. Each type of event picks up a different type of person. So there's all these things going on, so all the people can start to wake up and everybody can understand, and od milvado. Nobody can save me. Not my mayor, not my senator, not my president, not my bank account, not my lawyer, not my doctor. Nobody can save me. I am in God's hands. And it's Jew and Gentile. And when that happens and the whole world collectively says, "En od milvado," Hashem says, thank you for finally recognizing the big elephant in the room. How the whole world has been ignoring the Creator. How do you ignore your Father? The Father of all fathers, the boss of all bosses. How do you ignore God? The whole world has been ignoring Hashem.
Yeah.
So Hashem is gently tapping everybody on their shoulder, trying to wake them up, each one with their little thing. Because everybody, when they're smart, they think, I can figure this out. I got this. I can Google this. I can figure this out. But when you're confused and you know nothing and you can't figure it out, you become humble. And you understand that since nobody can help me and I can't help myself, every human being goes into that default setting, God, only you. And Hashem says, oh, finally, we're talking. It took COVID. It took a mandate. It took riots. It took whatever it is to shake you, to wake you up from the slumber, from being comfortably numb in whatever world you're in, or whatever part of the world that you're in. And od milvado. And that's why they said that the first Geulah, that the final Geulah is going to be like the first Geulah. Like we say we say it many times in this class. I'm going to redeem you at the end, the same way that I redeemed you in the beginning. What was the beginning? Egypt. What happened in Egypt? 10 plagues, you were on the 49th level of Tum'ah. We're going to get to the 50th level of Tum'ah. You can see it, you can feel it. We said it in the beginning of the class. The world is changing in a negative way. we're going down and down. It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until every single person says, I can't stand it. I can't handle it. I don't know what to do. Hashem, save me. Only you. There's no tools to deal with it. We don't know how to deal with it. But if you have En Od Milvado in your back pocket, you just understand that the world is going through something and you just need to hold on tight. Hold on tight. Cling on to God. Hashem, I know that the Torah is the truth. I know the life that I'm supposed to live. I know what I'm supposed to do. And what did Abraham do? What did Yitzchak do? What did Yaakov do? That's what I'm going to do. I wake up in the morning, I pray, I learn, I'm a good person, I'm a good Jew, I do acts of kindness, I do tzedakot, I'm living a Jewish life. That's all you want from me. And Hashem said, yes, that's all I want from you. Hold on. Soon everybody's going to catch up to you and everything will be okay. But up until then, it's going to get crazy. But anybody who wakes up in the morning and says, En Od Milvado, no matter what the news brings, it's God. It's just another alarm clock for another 100,000 people. And tomorrow's going to be another crazy thing. That's another alarm clock for another 250,000 people. Right? We just hope that it doesn't do the big alarm clock that wakes up the whole planet. Right? Hashem has a lot of rachamim, a lot of mercy. That He tries to wake us up little by little by little. So like that we'll wake each other up and we'll, come on, let's just do teshuvah. We don't need to get the big alarm clock. And when we do that, when we start to do teshuvah, the madness will cease. We'll start to get back to normal. Right now, ask anybody. Nobody can even imagine going back to normal. Nobody's planning on going back to normal. Everybody hopes.
I think the whole world is shifting, and when things shift, things fall off and maybe it can be raised up. It's going to a higher frequency eventually when Mashiach comes. So
That's what it is.
It has to shake up and things fall off the shelf and it becomes chaotic.
There's also a concept that says, Zeh le'umat zeh.
Yeah.
Hashem keeps it fair. All the craziness of the Tum'ah that you see is only because there's the exact amount of Kedusha in the world as well.
Right.
That means just as much as we see it, just the Kedusha doesn't have such good PR. They don't have such good marketing.
Well, it's the same thing with the news. They never tell you good news.
Exactly.
They only tell you what bad stuff. They only pick up
all
bad
the bad stuff that's out there, know for a fact that there's just as much Kedusha in the world as well. There's more people in yeshiva, more people doing teshuvah, more people going to synagogue. There's more people. It's not reported on news, but it's happening. Why? Because the craziness proves that there is that much holiness in the world as well. It just needs to be revealed. However, the job is not done. On a whole, the Jewish people being 15 million in the world, only, the statistics are not in our favor. 70% of the Jews are not religious, are not connected, are not affiliated. We've reached an all-time high of close to 60 to 70% assimilation for American Jewry. It's not so simple. There's a job. There's a long way to go. And as we sit here, a few people here learning this, what's our job? Tomorrow you try to bring another Jew closer. And tomorrow you bring another Jew closer, one way or the other. Invite them over for Shabbat. Do an act of kindness with them. Learn with them. Something. We have to start bringing our brothers and sisters back. And that's the way that it's going to be. And Hashem is going to turn to you and say, hey, what happened to your brothers and sisters when everything was going down? What were you doing? Just taking care of yourself? That's not what Jewish people do. We look out for each other. You're one of 15 million. To become one, a whole, you need your other 14,999,999 other brothers and sisters to feel complete. You can't feel complete just by yourself. The Chazon Ish says that a person should know shekol hatov v'kol hara haba al-adam hu rak letovah, and only from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's nothing good and nothing bad that comes upon a person that is not from Hashem. A person must know that. I'll just run through some Emunah concepts just to wrap up this class. We have to know that en ra ba'al ha'olam. There's no such thing as something bad that comes to the world. We learned in Masechet Berachot, Rabbi Akiva says, Kol derech mana avid letav avid. Everything that Hashem does is for the good. Everything. Cancer, it's the best. A broken leg, it's the best. No money to pay the rent, it's for the best. A flat tire, it's for the best. How? As humans, we're processing all that as something negative and bad. It's good. How? Hashem knows.
Do you know that There's this video I saw about, Rabbi Sachs, and I told him, my brother-in-law was saying Shiva for the second time. He lost his mother, he lost his sister, he's just had like one thing after the next. I know one thing, all the good comes at once and all the bad comes at once. It's never evenly distributed.
It does, we see that sometimes. A lot of people say everything good and bad comes in threes.
It does. So when I called him, because I was in New York, and I called him to the Menachem Avil, they said I had just seen him come across a video of Rabbi Sachs, and a woman asks him, like, how do you explain why good things happen, bad things happen to good people, right? And he said, Hashem doesn't let us know, because if he let us know, we would be asking for them. And it was such it's
simple.
It's so simple, but I always look like, I used to get upset at people whenever I was going through a lot of things. And I would look at the person, I'd say, how can I be angry at the person? It's all from Hashem.
It's all from Hashem.
It's all from Hashem.
Well, it's
so
hard. It's work. It's work.
Yeah.
It's very hard when somebody's getting you angry and you're just sitting there like, it's from Hashem.
But when you learn, you realize
it takes a long time to get to that point, but that's what you're here for. You're here to work.
Right.
Well, this world is the gym, the next world is the spa. This is what we came here to do. So we see that these concepts that end up olam. And not only that, you have to understand that everything is for the best and it's for your own good. Once you know that, once you understand that there's nothing, that everything is calculated, everything is a custom-made moment for you and for your life and for your neshama and for your tikkun, you accept everything and you just don't lose it when things don't go your way. Because whatever is happening in God's eyes and through His lens, it's the best thing. It's either atoning for something, repairing something, fixing something, or a wake-up call to bring you to the right place. Whatever it is, it all comes from a good place. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu tov u'metiv. He's good, and everything that He does is good. It all comes from a good place. And there's no such thing as bad. Bad is a human concept, right? We process things as good and bad because we live in a world where we need polar opposites. We can only define hot because there's cold. We can only define joy because there's sadness or because there's pain. We can only define dark because there's light. We need polar opposites in order to define things. So similarly, good and bad. But in reality, with Hashem, it's all good all the time. It's either you draw the good experience towards you with good actions, or the default setting is the other. It all depends on what you're drawing to your life. Your actions. You are a product of your choices. And your choices will bring you closer to whatever experience you're looking to manifest, whether it's in the positive, loving, everything is going your way, or something not. The real tzaddik, the real Jew, understands that life is not all good all the time. That's not a real life. A life without if you're all good all the time, that means your tikkun is done. You no longer need to be here. You need to go upstairs. If it's all good all the time is heaven.
Yeah.
Not here. Here is highs and lows, failures and successes, tikkunim, tikkunim, tikkunim. And as long as you have a tikkun, you're here. When your tikkun is done, you go there. So when you're here, don't try to seek heaven on earth. There's a place. That's why there's a place for everything, and that place is appropriate for it. So here's the world of asiyah, world of tikkun. A lot of the things that we encounter in our daily lives sometimes are because of spiritual baggage from previous lives. Go explain why you're dealing with something because in the previous life you got a recycled event. You can't figure things out. We can only learn and acquire the tools that when difficult things come our way, it's for the best. Hakol Tovah. Everything is a test. Everything is a test of our relationship with God. The Gemara also tells us, "Shemevarchim al hara'a ve'al hatovah." We bless when things are good. Baruch atah Hashem hatov u'metiv. Oh, great! Things are amazing. We made a bracha. And we also bless when things are bad, quote unquote. That we say, "Varchim al hatovah al hara'a." What do you say? Baruch dayan ha'emet. We have two blessings. Why two blessings? Because they're both good. Why do you bless on the good and bless on the bad? Because they're the same. They're the same. The good and the bad is the same. A Jew that's connected to the En Od Milvado concept understands En Od Milvado. The good that I'm processing is God. The bad that I'm processing is God. Everything is Hashem. Just to get a little hippie on you guys, we discover Hashem through unity and love.
Exactly.
We discover Hashem as Jews through unity and love. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hashem is letting us know, I am one. You know what's one? He's everything. He's the Chinese, he's the Philippines, he's the Jews, he's the Gentiles, he's the world, he's the trees, he's the stars, he's the earth, he's the water, he's your car, he's the stable, he's everything. Hashem is Echad, he's everything. Everything is God. And the word Echad is the same numerical value of Ahava. The word Ahava, love, is the same thing as Echad. Aleph, Chet, Dalet is 13. Ahava, Aleph, Hey, Bet, Hey is 13. We see that unity and love are one. By the way, Echad is 13. Ahava is 13. Unity and love, 26. 26, Yud-Ke, Vav-Ke. That's God. Love and unity. Now think about it. If love and unity is God and is the Jewish way,
And the opposite is not.
why is the world going through hate and division right now?
Right.
There's a big push against Hashem. There's a big push against the right thing to do. And a lot of Jews have been sucked into that world as well. Everything that Hashem stands for, which is love and unity, the complete opposite is hate and division of what's going on in the world. Pay attention. Black versus white in America. Vaccinated versus the unvaccinated in America. Israel, secular versus the religious. Arab versus the Jew. Everything is division. Everything is division. Everything is division. Because they know when there's division, there's chaos. When there's chaos, there's no unity, there's no love, and there's no Hashem, there's no trust. Divide and conquer. These are difficult times. But if you follow the ways of the patriarchs, staying focused on our relationship with God, attributing everything to Him, and Od Milvado, nothing can faze you. Nothing can touch you with that mindset. Health issues, financial struggles, kids, raising older kids, marrying kids, kids and children, shalom bayit issues, happiness, whatever life brings your way, all the highs and lows of life. These are just checkpoints where Hashem is trying to tell you, talk to me. I gave you a hard time in your parnasa because you're not talking to me enough. I gave you a hard time in your health because you're not talking to me. We don't have a relationship. We're not talking. Talk to God. You talk to God, you develop a relationship. When you develop a relationship, you start to have a connection. When you have a connection, you connect it to God. You connect it to the truth. You connect it to everything. You connect it to the pipeline. Once you connect it to the pipeline, you connect it to the tree of life. You connect to the tree of life, you can get anything that you need in life. But if you're not, then Hashem is going to say, I have to tap you over here. Because you're a money guy. If I don't hurt you in your money, if I don't give you some pressure in the money, you're not going to talk to me. And another person, if I don't hurt you with a little, if I don't tap you on the shoulder with your health, you're not going to talk to me. And if I don't give you some struggles with your children, you're not going to say, Hashem, help me, I don't know what to do with my kids. That's probably the best one out of all of them. Everybody says that. It's just Hashem saying, talk to me. We're not talking, we don't have a relationship. Too many people are disconnected from God. Nobody's talking to Hashem. It's like I hate to say it this way, but it's like a desperate parent crying out to his children, talk to me, children. Come back to your father. Come back to me, my children. Whatever it takes. And that's what's happening. And that's why the world is so shook up with all these different things. Hashem has to do it.
How do we know when it's enough?
Huh?
How do we know when it's enough? Connecting to Hashem.
It's never enough. It's endless. It's endless. Once you
it's
experience,
not enough. Like, how do you?
Not enough. It's always not enough. First of all, this is a basic answer. It's always not enough. But I can tell you something. Once you get connected, you don't have that question anymore. Once you find that connection with God, you can't get enough of it. You can't get enough because you finally feel, oh wow, I'm finally connected to truth. Emet. Your mind goes goodbye, and your neshama gets plugged in and says, this is what feels good, this is what feels right, this is what we're going to continue. And your mind, your body, and your soul gets
But I also
synchronized.
think, like, when you daven, I know, like, I always, it's like, how do I get closer to you? Help me get closer. Like, how do I do that? You know, I mean, I know we know how to do it through the Torah, but it's a constant working on
It's
the
work.
relationship.
Relationships will work. Have you been
Right.
married? Never have a best friend? Have you tried to keep a relationship with a sibling?
Right.
It's work.
Right,
You know, relationships are work. Relationship with
Children
God
too.
is work also.
Yeah.
Hashem gave us 613 ways to interact with Him, which are the mitzvot. But besides that, there's many, many other ways to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It all depends on how much effort you put into it. The more effort you put into anything, the better the result that you get. You talk to Hashem once a year on Rosh Hashanah, you're going to get the result of a once a year relationship. You talk to Hashem 52 times a week just on Shabbat, you'll get the relationship of 52 times a week talking. Talk to Hashem every day, you'll get the result of talking to somebody every single day. Think it as a business in a way, right? You have a client you call once a year. You have a client that you talk to once a week. You have a client that you talk to every day. 3 different relationships. And all those 3 relationships yield 3 different results. So Be'ezat Hashem, that we be able to manage the highs and lows of life, that we should understand, pachad, lo pachad. There's fear, but not to us. There's no pachad here. An Orthodox Jew understands God is running the world. He's running everything. The vaccine is Hashem. COVID is Hashem. Wars is Hashem. Peace is Hashem. Health is Hashem. Diseases is Hashem. It's all Hashem. And Hashem is Echad. It's all God. And once you know that, nothing phases you. You focus on yourself. So when Hashem puts His focus on you and gives you the health issue, financial issue, the Shlom Bayit issue, the kids issues, okay, Hashem, I got it. Time to talk. Thank you for tapping.
It's like you're giving me attention.
Now you give time to talk, time to get better, time to step up the game. You know, obviously, I'm not there. And by doing that, you're able to first of all get the gift of being able to talk to the Creator. So many people are passing up on that opportunity. Imagine, there's a Creator to this world. There's something out there in the world that created this whole thing, and this whole thing is Him. And you have a chance to have a relationship with that? Who cares about anything else? Nothing else really matters, right? I'm just being polite to everyone else.
No, you know what the thing is also, it's like when I had like a lot of problems and I felt like nobody was there, like all of a sudden like I had nobody. And so I had a friend of mine and he said to me, you know, you don't need anybody, you have Hashem. You go straight to the source. You don't need other people to come around and be there and support you. You go straight there, and you know that's it. You get it straight from God. Like, and when people ask me like, "What do I go?" I don't know. It's from Hashem. I really don't understand it. And always.
The next day, somebody
somebody exactly.
Is there.
There's a parak in Tehillim. It's such a. It's so harsh. If you really understand it, it says, "Al titasheni v'al ta'azveni Elokeishi." Don't desert me, don't leave me alone, God, the God of my salvation. Ki avi ve'imi azavuni. My father and my mother left me. V'Hashem yasfeni. And you, Hashem, you're the one who's going to pick me up and gather me and take care of me. Imagine there is a situation where a person's mother and father are no longer around. They're his caretakers. But who do you always have? Who do you always have? You always have God.
Wow.
And that's why.
You just said that and my mouth is closed.
Oh my God.
That's so funny.
No, it's like Hashem is like saying, here,
Call
your
I
mother.
validated.
Is that the Hashem that we all
No, but I see
to that?
exactly the message, yeah.
And Od Milvado, it's all Hashem.
Hashem
When all you have is Hashem,
Wow.
you really, nothing that happens phases you. You know it's from Hashem.
But you know, it's like so funny. It's like I'm now, you know, with my grandchildren. Like you appreciate it so much more. Like when you're raising your kids, it's like, oh my, you know, just like challenge after challenge. And when you have grandchildren, even though they're challenging, you go like, wow, look how lucky I am. Look at them. They're like a miracle. They're like you just
100%.
you just see you just so you have so much more patience. Like it's so different. It's just amazing. It's
Also,
just,
when you go to the En Od Milvado
yeah,
mindset, you see Hashem in
everywhere,
everything.
everywhere, everywhere.
You see him in your friends. You see him in the
Everywhere.
stranger in the street. You see them in your kids.
Yeah.
You see them in the park. You see him in the trees. You see in the sky. You see Hashem everywhere. A mental exercise that helps you get that is look at a homeless man.
Mhm.
Look at a homeless man and say,
Such-
Hashem's in there.
Right.
Hashem's neshama, this life spark that
Everyone is
everybody
an
has,
image.
he's there.
Yeah.
That's Hashem experiencing himself through this experience, right? Hashem is experiencing himself a billion different ways with a billion different neshamot. So when you see somebody, it's not like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm me and he's him in two different worlds. No. Echad. That's Hashem too. She's Hashem. He's Hashem. We're all Hashem. And like that, you're able to love everyone. You get to love all God's children. Bezat Hashem, that we get to this En Od Milvado understanding, and we'll be successful like the patriarchs of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and then may we be blessed like Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, bakol mikol kol. We didn't talk about the rewards, but believe me, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Maaser Avot Simone Banim, they all died happy, satisfied, wealthy, rich, children. They were fully satiated with life and the reward that Hashem gave them in this world. Kal v'chomer in the next world. שיתו לי בכם אליו, פס סגור מנותיה, למען תספרו את האחרון שהשם מברך אתכם, משמח אתכם. Thank you for coming here.
Until
and listening in
Brussels
person.
like that, actually.
Baruch Hashem and for all the people listening
Oh my
online.
gosh, thank you